Hello, hello, hello. John Bush here to talk about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and to answer your questions and to give you a breakdown on some introductory information. I was excited to do this video because Bitcoin was trading for like $9,500 earlier, maybe more on certain exchanges. Cryptocurrency is going through the roof, and it has been for quite some time. So I'm going to answer some questions, some introductory info, share with you some insights, some tips, tools, tactics, and I also want to inform you, the viewer, that I offer one-on-one cryptocurrency consultations, $50 an hour, but I'm doing a special for Cyber Monday and this big sales weekend. The first hour is $35, and in those consultations I can give you a one-on-one explanation of how to, well, first of all, why you should buy Bitcoin if you need explaining on that, and how to buy Bitcoin, where to buy Bitcoin, and most importantly, I can ensure that you are holding and storing your Bitcoin safely and securely in a way that will protect you from hackers and, more importantly, protect you from your own mistakes. Bitcoin is freedom, and with freedom comes great personal responsibility. There's no CEO or 1-800 number you can call to get your Bitcoin back. So you got to do it right. And believe me, I've lost cryptocurrency in the past. I've learned from my mistakes. And I recently lost my phone. My phone got jacked up, the screen got jacked up, and had all sorts of different cryptocurrency stored on it, and stored on it in a variety of different wallets. And I was able to recover each and every single one of those wallets. And these cryptocurrency consultations all ensure that you set up yourself in a manner to where if you lose your phone, or it'll be like multiple points of failure, so you'll be okay. Okay, so let's get right down to it. Thank you everyone for joining. Before we go any further, first, the price is going through the roof. How many Bitcoins do you have, John? I know you're an early investor. Well, here's the thing. A lot of people probably think I'm like filthy rich because I've been talking about Bitcoin and been involved in Bitcoin since Bitcoin was like 40 bucks, or even since it was $2 a piece. But the Bitcoin that came in to my possession quickly went out and paid for bills, groceries, food, and supported my family. So I learned along the way that, and I had to like beat myself up. Man, I'm out of my Bitcoin. I should have held it. It's $9,000 now. I should have held those Bitcoins when they were 100 and 200. Oh my God. And the one Bitcoin we bought when it was like 1,100, right at the height, we bought high and sold low. But I came to realize it was an income problem that I had, an income problem. And that's what I'm working on, bringing in more money so I can buy more crypto and not have to spend through my savings. So. But you don't have to have a lot of money in order to get involved in cryptocurrency. And somebody making a $500 investment just 2 years ago or even today would have already seen massive gains. So I just wanted to point out this Bitcoin magazine that I have behind me from March 2013. It's a nice little canvas thing that I got at I think in Washington, D.C. at a cryptocurrency conference, probably in like 2015. It says Bitcoin rises again. It's from March 2013. Can anybody watching, you can look it up, maybe you already know if you're a crypto enthusiast, but how much was Bitcoin worth in March 2013 when we have this sign that says Bitcoin rises again? Can anybody tell me? If you're able to tell me, you win a Bitcoin. Just kidding. Sorry, no false advertisement here. Let's hear it. If anybody can do it, I'll read a headline from March 28, 2013. Bitcoin price surges post-Cyprus bailout. What did that price surge to? All-time highs. I'll give you a hint. $88. That was the price when it was surging. And with Bitcoin at $88, you can bet your bottom dollar there were already so many millionaires that were made with Bitcoin going from a penny to $88. I'll let you do the math on the gains right there. So the point is that I've been telling people to get invested in Bitcoin since Bitcoin was $50, $100, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, and $9,000. And just about every single time, especially when it was like around 1,000 or more, oh, I missed the boat. I should have got in earlier. It's too late for me now. This is too rich for my blood. First of all, you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin to get involved. But whenever I first started saying that, I learned my lesson because Bitcoin had recently rose. This must have been before 2013. Bitcoin went up to like $40. And people were like, are you going to buy Bitcoin? You should buy Bitcoin. And I was like, no, I'm going to wait till it corrects back down to 20. I think this is a little high here. True story. Even before that, Kat was encouraging me to mine Bitcoin back when you could mine Bitcoin and shell out 50 of them at a time with your laptop. So the point I'm trying to make is it's never too late. And for those of you that think you missed the boat, I'm here to inform you that the sails are yet to be set, and we haven't even finished building the ship. $9,000 Bitcoin very well may be the bottom end very well next year. So for the people that are like, oh, I should have bought in. No, I don't want to buy. It's too much right now. I tell them like, oh, well, next year you're going to tell me, oh my God, I should have listened to you and bought in when Bitcoin was $5,000. So for those of you that are like, oh no, it's too high, I don't have time to mess with it, I don't know, it's probably going to crash or correct, it's $9,000, that would be insane. Remember this day, mark this date, November 26, 2017, when you watched that live video with John Bush, and he said, oh man, you should buy Bitcoin. I didn't. And then you'll say, oh man, I should buy Bitcoin when Bitcoin was $9,000. Now it's $25,000, which it very well may be by the end of next year. How much is it worth when the power goes out? Well, first of all, if the power goes out with some sort of electromagnetic pulse or some sort of total collapse where there's no power anywhere, how much is your dollar worth? How much is your yuan worth? At that point, your Bitcoin is less relevant than whether or not you have guns and food for your family, because shit's hitting the fan if the power goes out. And you can bet your bottom dollar that the ones and zeros that make up the United States dollar monetary system are going to be worth shit too. But to answer your question, Bitcoin, the whole fucking world financial system will crash if the power goes out in the United States of America. So Bitcoin will probably be worth considerably less if the power goes out. But once that grid gets going again, the blockchain will still remain solvent, and it'll probably quickly increase in value. So I hope that answers your question, Mr. Haynes. Hopefully the power doesn't go out, because shit's fucked, and my Bitcoin portfolio is the least of my worries. I'm going to be worried about making sure my children are safe and the neighbors aren't coming to try to take my food storage. That's what my Glock 19's for, bitches. Sorry. Okay, let's answer some of these questions. So what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. The root of that word is crypto, as in cryptography, as in using complex mathematical functions in order to protect data, in order to basically using mathematics as a security mechanism. And then it's a currency, which is a medium of exchange that you can exchange value, you can store value, you can trade, you can buy goods or services, you can send money all across the world, all across the country. And so it's a currency that uses cryptography in order to ensure the validity of the transactions. It's completely decentralized, which is what makes it so exciting and innovative. It's the first global trustless currency. Trustless, whereby you do not need to depend on a centralized institution like a government or a bank or a credit card company in order to maintain the public ledger and ensure the validity, authenticity, legitimacy, and integrity of the transactions that are held on there. And so, but John Bush, you know it goes out here a lot with our hurricanes. Yeah, if power goes out in Houston, for example, then you can't access cryptocurrency in Houston. Although if you have energy on your smartphone and if you have like a backup power cell, you can still send and receive Bitcoin. But if power goes out in one particular area, then the blockchain, it's a global. So if there's hurricanes all over the whole globe at the same time, that might be a problem, but it's a global currency and its value is just distributed throughout the entire world in a variety of different fiat systems and different countries' fiat currencies going into Bitcoin. So it doesn't matter as much if there's a hurricane in a certain area. By no means should you put all of your wealth into Bitcoin. You should always have cash, silver, gold, stocks, portfolio, guns, ammo, gold, grains, all this stuff will be valuable, but that's the least of my worries. And so, yeah, so what? Okay, let's say the grid goes down and Bitcoin completely fails. So it fucking fails. Don't put more money in than you're willing to lose. That's the same thing with any investment. There's risk. Nobody is touting Bitcoin as a panacea that's going to solve all of our problems. When it comes to money, It's the fucking best technology out there, way better than the centralized fiat central bank systems which finance foreign wars of aggression, and you bail out your buddies and inflate the currency, simultaneously stealing from everyone's savings. So Bitcoin is a decentralized cryptocurrency. What is it? Where is it stored? Like, what is it? It's not physical. What's that all about? It's stored on the blockchain, the public ledger that's distributed across the entire globe. Blockchain is a chain of blocks. Each block is a collection of transactions that took place in the previous 10-minute period. Since the Genesis block, which was the very first block that was mined, mining Bitcoin is how Bitcoin are created, and Bitcoin miners are the computers that verify the transactions and generate Bitcoin. We'll talk about that here in a second. But since the very first block was generated by Satoshi Nakamoto, I think it was late 2008, the transactions that took place within that period, that was the very first block. And then when that first block was created, 50 Bitcoin were generated. And then those 50 Bitcoin were sent elsewhere, and then more transactions were added on this blockchain. This blockchain is a computer file. I don't know how big it is now. It's like 50 or 60 gigs, probably way more. Maybe someone can chime in and let me know. That blockchain is stored on computers all across the globe, servers that are called nodes. And these nodes host the blockchain. And these nodes, along with the miners, the computers that verify the authenticity of those transactions by going through the history of the blockchain to verify that if I sent you a Bitcoin, I legitimately received it from party A, they legitimately received it from party B, they legitimately received it from party C, all the way on down the line. That's how the transactions are verified. The legitimacy and authenticity. So all of these nodes and all of these miners, they have a consensus on whether or not that blockchain is true. And if a collection of transactions gets added to the blockchain, it's considered to be truth. There's considered to be a consensus. And if a block gets stacked on top of that, it's considered to be even more true. If a block gets stacked on top of that one, it's even more, we're even more certain that that block a couple blocks ago is all truth. And once 6 blocks get added on top of a given block, then it's statistically impossible for it to be untrue. So you can access the blockchain and access your Bitcoin that are associated with a public address through a program called a wallet, which is a computer program that you can have on your computer hard drive, or you can have it on your smartphone, or you can have it on a KeepKey physical hard drive right here that interfaces with your computer. And every Bitcoin, every individual that's interfacing with Bitcoin, you get a public address. A public address is like your public account number. And that public address has Bitcoin that are associated with that public address. So if you wanted to send me Bitcoin, hey, send me 10th of the Bitcoin, here's my public address. I put it here on the comments. Someone pulls up their wallet, they pull up a QR code of that public address, they send Bitcoin from their wallet to that address. Now there's that much Bitcoin associated with that address in the blockchain public ledger, and they have that much Bitcoin less associated with their address. Now whoever has the private key, each public address, you can have numerous public addresses, cool, which is really cool, which is awesome. You can have numerous public addresses too, which is really cool and awesome, because you can have some wallets create an address for every single transaction, because if someone were to tie your identity to one particular address, then you can actually see the entire history of those transactions. But if you have a new address for every single transaction, it obscures, it makes it harder for you to trace that. Also, you could have an address for your kids, your son's college savings fund, your daughter's college savings fund, your savings account, your checking account that you buy stuff online with. Numerous addresses. You don't have to go to a bank. You don't have to file anything. You don't have to give a social security number. Every address has a corresponding private key, which is basically the password that gives you access to the public address. Well, you can encrypt that private key with a password, so that would actually be the password. The private key is the actual key that unlocks this unique address. So one thing that's really important that I advise all my clients that I do the consultations is that if you're going to store cryptocurrency, do it in a wallet whereby only you have access to that private key. The third party, like an exchange or a company or a fly-by-night website, has access to the private key. You're not the true sole owner of that coin. They also have an ownership stake because they can access it if they want. And this has happened numerous times where people have lost all of their money because they trusted a third party with that private key. We got some questions here. I need to know how to sell mine. I have them in a Bitcoin wallet on my phone. How do I sell? Well, you can post on Facebook, hey, I have some Bitcoin to sell. However, you wouldn't want, if it's somebody you don't know, you wouldn't want them to send you money with PayPal, because they could, unlike with Bitcoin, they could say that it's fraud, they never got what they wanted, and then PayPal could reject the money. You could have someone deposit money in your bank account. If you have like a Wells Fargo bank account, they could deposit money anywhere throughout the world. Or what most people do is they sign up with a website called Coinbase, coinbase.com. I hear there's like a lag now. There's so many people getting into Bitcoin, it takes a few days to get your account approved, because you have to do know your customer, anti-money laundering checks where you give them information on your identity. So that Coinbase is probably the simplest, easiest way to go about selling your Bitcoin. You'll send Bitcoin from the wallet on your phone to the Coinbase wallet. You'll tie your bank account to your Coinbase account, and you'll transfer it over to US dollars. And I think they charge like 1 or 2%. If you want to sell it anonymously, so it's not tied to your identity, that's a little bit harder. You can use a service like localbitcoins.com. You can post online, but make sure that you're doing it in a way where no one's going to try to screw you over. I.e., don't use PayPal unless it's someone you know. But if you're involved with like Liberty Community and stuff online, or like people that you trust, then PayPal is a safe bet. Or if you can, go after someone's reputation if they don't end up following through. Do you mine, and what coin would you mine at this time as a small individual miner? I mined a lot a few years ago and had a big mining farm in a closet in an office. It was a big utility closet, big closet in this office in downtown San Marcos. And I convinced our landlord to let us pay rent and to pay the utility bill with Bitcoin. So I was mining, generating Bitcoin, and turning around and paying rent for it. It was awesome. It ended up being a big bust. I had an investor that paid for the mining equipment. He ended up getting his money back big time because of the strategic investment that I helped him to make. But if you want to do hobby mining, that's great. Unless you have like 2 cents a kilowatt hour energy, or you're on solar, it's probably not going to be profitable unless you get a brand new miner. Like Bitmain just put out this Dash miner, but there's already waiting lists to do them. Dash does X11. Ethereum's decent to mine. Monero's decent to mine. There's a website called coinwars.com. So I would actually advise you to go to coinwars.com, and they compare and they let you know exactly what the most profitable coin to mine is based on the different algorithm. Now, mind you, with these ASIC chips, application-specific integrated circuit, these chips where you have like a supercomputer to mine, a lot of them if it is an ASIC chip, it's created for a specific algorithm, which only will be enable you to mine specific coins. Bear in mind that. However, with simple graphics cards, GPUs, you can mine a whole variety of different coins, like Ethereum or Monero. So unless you have very inexpensive energy, 5 cents, 2 cents or less, or unless you find the right coin and you find the right miner at the right time before they all get flooded onto the market, increasing the difficulty of mining that coin, you probably won't make a whole lot of money off of mining. That's not to say it's not a noble, fun, cool, exciting thing to do. That's not to say that you won't make a lot of money, because you could mine a bunch of coins and you're like, oh man, I only mined 2 Monero. That's worth like $400. My miner costs $700. Bummer. I'm going to turn it off. And then like next year, Monero's worth $2,000 each, So yeah, coinwars.com. Doesn't matter if power goes out. It's on a ledger, stored in a hard wallet. You'll never lose it. Yeah, even if you have your Bitcoin stored on your computer and you can't access your computer, once the power comes back, you'll have that private key. Another thing you can do, if power goes down, you have a hardware wallet or you have a paper wallet with your public address and your private key, and then that's just like stored in a safe somewhere. And as long as you have that private key, you can access that Bitcoin through most wallets. You can just import the private key. It's called sweeping the private key. Boom, then you have access to that money. For all of you who use crypto, who voluntarily complies contracts with the IRS? Do you see any alarm bells going off when reading user agreements, for example, with the user agreement with Coinbase? Okay, so I'm going to plead the fifth on answering that question, but I will inform those watching that there's nothing more American giving as little money as possible to the IRS. And if you give this much money and you make this much money, then you, my friend, are a hero. But the cool thing about cryptocurrency is it makes it easier, at least, for people who choose to not comply. Of course, it is voluntary compliance with the IRS. It makes it easier for you not to comply. Be aware, so here's the catch on that. Most cryptocurrency services like Coinbase require know your customer anti-money laundering information. And I know a whole lot about this because I've ran Bitcoin ATMs before and I've been involved in this part of the space. And one of these days I'd love to open a legitimate money service business selling cryptocurrency to people. Not that hard of a business to get into, actually. In most states, some states you have to put up like $200,000, $500,000 and get these bonds and insurance. But in Texas and New Hampshire and several others, you're not required to register as a money service business. And at the federal level, you just have to sign, like, state that you're doing it. There's not these huge fees and licenses either. Okay, so Coinbase, or if you use a Bitcoin ATM, like 99% of them, unless you're hanging out with the crazy Keeniacs in Keene, New Hampshire, and it's a Shire-free church ATM, they usually have you take a picture of your driver's license. Some of them ask for your social security number. Early on, they had like palm prints, which is like totally Orwellian. And all these libertarian, like crypto anarchists were like, yeah, palm print. But you turn over your information. This is a requirement from the Bank Secrecy Act. It's the Department of Treasury requiring this information to be kept. And the idea is that they don't want terrorists or criminals to launder money. And so there's a database of known terrorists and known criminals that have done money laundering and stuff. HSBC, Wells Fargo. And you're required to give your personally identifiable information. Now, this information doesn't go straight to the IRS, contrary to what most people might think. The company is required to hold that information. They don't even turn it over to the Department of Treasury. However, if the Department of Treasury wants to conduct an audit or come in and say, hey, what's going on? Or as we see what's taking place with Coinbase, they say, there's somebody we think is skirting their taxes. We think they bought cryptocurrency in the past. We want their information, and we want all of your customers' information, is what the IRS tried to do with Coinbase. Coinbase fought them in court. Things were going well for Coinbase. But I think like this is a headline that I read, like a judge is going to say that Coinbase has to turn over the information for those people that benefited or gained on their Bitcoin, sold Bitcoin and made money through Coinbase. So just be aware that if you're turning over your know your customer anti-money laundering information, which you're going to have to do in most cases to buy Bitcoin, unless you buy it privately, which is perfectly legal, not illegal to sell Bitcoin privately. It may start to get questionable if you're starting to sell $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 worth of cryptocurrency. But if you're not doing it as a business, which can be shown in court, if you're not taking any fees and you're just selling it, people have their own Bitcoin and they sell it from time to time. That's not necessarily a money service business. A lot of this is gray and it's like brand new stuff. The government doesn't even know what to do. But if you are doing it as a business, then you are considered a money service business, a money transmitter, required to get a money transmitter license in your respective state. So yeah, the IRS could eventually gain access to that information. If you buy Bitcoin privately through localbitcoins.com, you may end up paying 10-15% fee. But the IRS isn't going to know about it unless you tell them. If you buy it through Know Your Customer anti-money laundering means, and they audit, they check up later on, then maybe they'll find out about it. So use your best judgment. They are starting to crack down. They're working with these big companies that have developed technology to track and trace the blockchain. I'm not sure they go so far as to tie an ISP to the purchases. I don't think the NSA is involved, unless you're like Ross Ulbricht in the Silk Road case. Then the NSA was likely involved in cracking his stuff, tying it to his identity. So something to be aware of. What taxes are associated with Bitcoin? Well, if you receive Bitcoin in exchange for goods or services, like it was money, so if you work for someone, they pay you $50 an hour, they give you $50 worth of Bitcoin, that's supposed to be considered income. If a company pays you more than $600 worth of Bitcoin for a contracting gig, then they would probably fill out a 1099, just like it was with US dollars. If you buy Bitcoin at $100, now it's worth $1,000. You cash out, that's considered a gain, and you also have to pay capital gains tax on that. However, if the money stays in cryptocurrency and doesn't go back to fiat, then it's not a taxable event. It becomes a tax. Now, I'm not a tax attorney by any means. Not a financial advisor. Do I need a disclaimer in this fucking Orwellian world where I can't even speak my mind without thinking in the back of my head, am I breaking the law here? Or is this something that I have to ask permission to give this advice? Sorry. Hope that didn't offend anyone. Yeah, lost my train of thought. So here we go. Yeah, so capital gains, boom. What I was saying is, if it's not a taxable event if you go from crypto to fiat. I'm sorry, it's not a taxable event if it stays within cryptocurrency. Once it goes from crypto to fiat, it is a taxable event. And even if you receive $1,000 worth of cryptocurrency and then you buy a $500 gift card from Home Depot to buy a lawnmower, that is considered a taxable event because you've realized it into US dollars or a good. Likewise, if you buy $100 worth of Bitcoin, now it's worth $500. You use that $500 to buy a $500 lawnmower. You've realized a $400 gain, and you have to pay $400 worth of capital gains tax. Bitquick.co is a great way to buy, sell BTC involving cash transactions. Never heard of them, never tried them. Always check up on the legitimacy of wallets and exchanges. And more often than not, there's great reviews and there's big titans in the industry like Coinbase, for example, that are trustworthy. Thank you everybody for joining us. The name of the game is to keep it in crypto. Got it. Yeah, and there's this thing in cryptocurrency called holding, but it's spelled HODL. And it came from like an early Bitcoin forum. And somebody was drunk and they sold their Bitcoin, and Bitcoin went up to like $80 instead of $10 or something. And they're like, I wish I would have hold my Bitcoin. They spelled it HODL because they were whiskey drunk. But it turned into this big meme in the Bitcoin community where HODL means hold on for dear life. So the idea is to acquire as much cryptocurrency as you can and hold that shit, because more than likely that cryptocurrency is going to be extremely valuable, way more valuable than when you bought it. This rings true if you would have bought Bitcoin at $5,000, $7,000, $8,000, especially if you bought it at $25. It is to hold on for dear life. That being said, if you're just holding a bunch of ones and zeros, it doesn't benefit your life. Maybe it feels good, so there's nothing wrong with realizing some gains whenever you need to buy a car, for example. I heard they only go after you if you switch back to USD. Yes, Brock, it's definitely a taxable event if you go from crypto to USD. If it's involved with a bank account or if you're using Coinbase, then they could find out about it. If you do private transactions, it's really, really hard for them to figure that stuff out, not to say that they can't. So it makes it easier for you rebels to get away with keeping more of your money. For those of you just joining us, I'm just riffing on some Bitcoin stuff. Ask any questions you want. I will answer the questions I have listed there, and I also want to let people know that I do one-on-one cryptocurrency consultations. First hour is $35. I'm doing a little special this weekend. Every hour after that is $50. And we can get on the phone. We can Skype. If you're in Central Texas, I can meet you in person, and I can talk you through the ins and outs of setting up your first wallet, backing it up properly so it's hacker-proof, and more importantly, it's not going to be 100% hacker-proof. Nothing. I'm not going to ever guarantee zero risk with anything that I say, but I can make it pretty damn sure that you're not going to be able to screw it up. We'll make it idiot-proof, foolproof. And more importantly than making it hacker-proof is making it yourself-proof, because it's really easy to screw up, actually. It's not easy to screw up. It's actually kind of easy to screw up. We still don't have a killer app that makes Bitcoin super simple where your grandmother can do it. It's slightly convoluted and complicated. But I have a very good ability to demystify it and simplify it as extremely as possible. And that's basically what you're getting for when you pay me $50 an hour or $35 for the introductory hour. I'll make it so simple and so foolproof, and we'll make sure that if you invest $1,000, $10,000, $20,000, you won't lose that money. In fact, you'll probably make massive gains. That being said, if anybody wants to buy $10,000 or more, I have started an affiliate relationship with the trustworthy, reputable source that has really low fees. So for any of you out there looking to buy $10,000 up to $200,000. Actually, it might be $500,000 for all you ballers out there. Take me to dinner if you're making 500K. You want to buy 500K worth of Bitcoin? We'll talk to you all about it. And the consultation's free if you buy $100,000 worth of Bitcoin. But for real, $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, that's a, man, if you have savings like that, and maybe we're going to put it into stocks and bonds or whatever, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, I can help you set it up and make sure that you're storing it safely and securely for sure. Other than that, I'd probably point you to Coinbase in order to purchase Bitcoin. How do I buy them? Best way to buy Bitcoin, best way to obtain Bitcoin is to offer it in exchange for goods or services, in my opinion. If you sell widgets, knickknacks, t-shirts, computer games, if you own your own store, you have an online store, if you do consultations, whatever the hell. That's how you get Bitcoin. You trade your labor for it. In my opinion, that's the best way to get it. But if you just have good old US dollars, you got yourself a 9 to 5, and you have some extra money in the bank that you'd like to put to work for you, I would suggest Coinbase. Coinbase.com. You go in, you do your know your customer anti-money laundering check. Sometimes this takes hours, sometimes it takes days. You link up your bank account, your checking account. Coinbase will deposit 11 cents, 8 cents. You verify those transactions. Now you're linked up and ready to go. You can buy Bitcoin and it'll withdraw from your checking account, and you should get the cryptocurrency like a day or two later. I don't know exactly how long it takes these days because it varies often. You can also link it up with a credit card for a little faster transactions. Coinbase is the safest way to do it. That being said, once you receive your Bitcoin into your Coinbase wallet, you're going to want to take it out of the Coinbase wallet and put it to either in a wallet on your smartphone that you back up your private keys and your 12-word mnemonic phrase if it has one, or what I tend to be most familiar with and advise most people that are beginning is to download an Electrum wallet on your hard drive. Electrum has 4 different layers of security that are super easy. Well, they're actually not easy to set up, but I can make it easy for you to set up. Or you could write this down right now. Download Electrum. Write down your 12-word phrase. This is 12 words. Don't write it down on your computer. Write it down on a piece of paper. This is what I'll step you through with the consultation I'm telling you right now. No such thing as a free lunch. Download Electrum. Write down the 12-word phrase. You'll now get into your wallet. You'll encrypt your wallet with a password. You'll write that down somewhere as well, not on your computer, in a notebook that'll go in a safe or a safe security place. There's 2 layers of security. 12-word phrase, if you lose your computer, if it gets lost, corrupted, you can download Electrum on another computer, put in that 12-word phrase, you'll have access to all your crypto. If someone steals your computer and like, oh my God, Electrum, that's a Bitcoin wallet, I'm gonna take this guy's Bitcoin. Before you can send Bitcoin out, you'll have to put that encryption password. Don't use any passwords that you use all the time. Don't use like your daughter's birthday or anything. The third backup layer is you'll make a backup of the wallet file, the wallet.dat file, and you'll put that on a jump drive. Third level of security. Your 4th level of security finally is you'll export your private keys. This is a great level of security because with that private key, you'll have access to the Bitcoin associated with the public address on any other wallet. You can sweep it in there on any other wallet. The seed will only work for an Electrum wallet. And that wallet.dat file will only work for a handful of wallets. But if you have that private key, man, you can get that Bitcoin almost anywhere with any other wallet that you have. So that's why I advise Electrum. It's very simple. The graphic user interface is pretty easy. And there's 4 layers of security. So again, giving away all the $50 worth of value here. Download Electrum, write your 12-word seed down, encrypt the wallet, back up your wallet file, put it on a jump drive, export the private keys, and put those on a jump drive as well. There really is so much more that I offer, but I just want to offer that so people can have their Bitcoin safely and security. It's really frustrating when people like blame Bitcoin because they fucked up somehow. And they're like, Bitcoin's a scam, it's a fraud. And you're like, oh my God, what happened? I forgot my password. And you're like, oh, did you write it down? No, I didn't. Oh man. Whoops. Okay, so where do I store them? That's where you store them, on a wallet, on your hard drive. Is it too late to get in? No, it's never too late to get in. Just did a video like a month ago titled, for those who think it's too late to get into Bitcoin, it's not too late. And back then, Bitcoin was like $7,000 or $7,500. Now it's $9,500. It's not too late. Now, mind you, it's always like, so I bought a whole Bitcoin, Kat and I, with some of our wedding money. And this was like 2013 when it was like $1,100. Then it corrected back down to like 200, 300 and stayed around 400, 500, 600 for a while. And we were like, oh my God, we bought at the height. Idiots. And we had to spend the money on stuff. We bought high and sold low. You're supposed to buy low and sell high. Oh man. But if we held on to that now, it would have almost 10x'd. So sure, you may buy some Bitcoin tomorrow because you're super excited. I gave this awesome, eloquent, not so tired explanation of why Bitcoin's great and how to acquire it. And you buy it tomorrow. And then a week later, Bitcoin corrects down to 7,500. And you're like, oh my God. That's where the hold comes in. Hold on for dear life. It's a ride, baby. And those that can hold on through the ride and not fight the temptation to sell because it went up 10, 20%, 100%, which is doubling, or not fight the temptation because, oh my God, it's lost 20%. It's about to lose 25%. I need to sell out now and take a loss. You win when you hold on for dear life. So it's not too late to buy, even right now when Bitcoin is at an all-time high. I honestly think the value proposition is so underappreciated right now, and Bitcoin is starting to poke into mainstream consciousness. And it's my opinion that soon, maybe not Bitcoin, but blockchain technology will be the foundation of the entire economic system globally. Governments will be using it, banks will be using it, ATMs will be using it, credit card companies will be using it. And just as you have no idea how your credit card company works and how the Federal Reserve Clearinghouse works when you write and send a check, no one's going to know that it's Bitcoin underneath the swipe or the thumbprint identification, or worse, the RFID chip scan. But even if it's a different cryptocurrency or Visa has their own blockchain, Bitcoin was the first to market, and I think it will just be so legitimate. Everyone will trust in the blockchain, and Bitcoin will have such a huge network effect, and maybe people will do it on top of Bitcoin. I don't know, maybe not. That's not to say that Bitcoin doesn't have its issues and it's currently experiencing some growing pains with some extremely high transaction fees, extremely high volume. Solutions are trying to be worked out. There's been forks that have taken place. Bitcoin Cash is a great hedge against Bitcoin. There's other alternative cryptocurrencies. I like Ethereum, Dash, Ripple, Monero, OMG. Those are some that I like a lot. This is something too, if you want to do a consultation, I could definitely give you some insight on what some solid alternative cryptocurrencies are. And I can teach you and show you and walk you through setting up an account on an exchange and teaching you how to get those. All right, what are the risks? Well, I think it's far more likely that Bitcoin, instead of going to $100, will go to $20,000. It's weird because just in my head, like 2 or 3 years ago, I would tell people, I think it's far more likely that Bitcoin will be $10,000 than $100. Literally, that's what I would say a couple years ago. Bitcoin's about to be $10,000 maybe tomorrow. I'm telling you, man, you're missing out. There's a transfer of wealth taking place from the legacy financial institutions and all these like old, fat, white-haired, rich, fat cat Wall Street bankers. And like the wealth is being transferred from the governmental fiat legacy institution that's bloated, corrupt, and bullshit into like a bunch of crypto anarchists. And like I have friends that are like hardcore anarchists, and they're buying fancy sports cars and paying off their houses because they got into cryptocurrency a few years ago. It's my belief that you can get into cryptocurrency now and you can have that in a few years. I always used to tell people to get to the left of the decimal point as fast as you can, because one of these days it's going to be really hard to get to the left of the decimal point, meaning one whole unit. And we're there now. So I would take my advice, because I've been giving the same damn advice for like 6 years now, and it's all coming true. Now, mind you, I did advise my brother-in-law to buy a bunch of silver when like silver was like $35. Now it's $11. But silver's old school, man, and this is groundbreaking, revolutionary, evolutionary, innovative technology, and it's fucking going to go to the moon. Not going to guarantee it, but the simple fix to the risks are never invest more than you're willing to lose. So if you're like struggling to make ends meet, oh, there's a bunch more questions here. If you're struggling to make ends meet and like you're trying to put your daughter through school or something, don't go putting in thousands of dollars, you know, or if like you can barely feed your family and you're always behind on bills, you know, maybe you can afford to invest $100 a month. That's going to make a difference, you know, no big deal. Here's a great strategy. Determine what you're able to afford to invest and you're afford to lose every month. And then no matter what the price of Bitcoin is, buy that much every month. If you'd have been doing that for the past few years, every single year except for like 1 or 2, you'd be winning big. And during those years where you lost, if you just held on for dear life, then you'd be winning in a matter of another year. If you want to watch the markets, say you got $200 every month, I'm going to buy $200 worth of cryptocurrency. I got my $200 waiting in my Coinbase account, tied to my checking account, and watch the market for dips. Bitcoin dips 5 or 10%, that's when you buy. You buy the dips. You ride the waves. So the couple hundred I deposited in my checking account from Coinbase will be taxed, and at what rate? If you bought $200 worth of Bitcoin, you've simply changed US dollar for Bitcoin. There's no gain and there's no income. So it's like I can't answer that question. If Bitcoin goes up, if you buy $200 worth of Bitcoin and now Bitcoin, that $200 is worth $400, there's still not a taxable event until you convert it back into US dollars. Now you've gained $200, which is considered income, and additionally you have to pay $200 in capital gains tax. I'm not a tax attorney. I fucking hate the IRS. It's so convoluted. It's so much bullshit. There are other cryptocurrencies like Monero that make it easier to hide your wealth. That's your goal. But yeah, as long as the cryptocurrency stays in cryptocurrency, from my understanding, it's not a taxable event until you cash it back out, even if the year ends. I don't know though exactly. So love crypto, exciting times, very exciting times. Extremely exciting. I'm excited right now. Tons of altcoins out there that will be Bitcoin not long from now. Yeah, like in order to buy these alternative cryptocurrencies, you have to either go through Bitcoin or Ethereum. There may be other pairs, as they're called on the exchanges, but right now Bitcoin is the main one that all the exchanges use, and Ethereum is one that many of them do also. So that's extreme utility just to get into the entire cryptocurrency space. That's why if you are holding a basket of cryptocurrencies, it's in your interest to hold a bunch of Bitcoin, whether it's half Bitcoin and then a bunch of others, or maybe you're really passionate about a particular project and you think it has some extreme benefits, you want to have a whole lot of that one. But it definitely, if someone had $10,000 to invest, I wouldn't advise them. I don't give advice, actually. I would exercise my right to free speech, and I would talk to them and share with them that people benefit when they don't put all of that into Bitcoin. Actually, you know what? If you do the fucking numbers, unless you pick something, like Dash went up huge, bigger gains than Bitcoin recently. So I'd probably put like a good 50% or 3/4 into Bitcoin, maybe 60%. And then with the rest, I would get a basket of maybe 3 or 4 other cryptocurrencies. But these are all the things that we can talk about in the cryptocurrency consultation. And I will throw it out there again. Bitcoin rocks, Dash, Ethereum, Monero, Ripple. I think Ripple's going to make a lot of money. Ripple's a centralized company. Their blockchain and their cryptocurrency is centralized. In fact, they just hired Benjamin Losky, the New York regulator that brought us the BIT license, which is a draconian statist piece of garbage that is really making it hard for people to do Bitcoin businesses in New York. He is now on the board of directors for Ripple. The anarchist in me says, no, fuck that. The investor and entrepreneur in me says, oh, that's opportunity. That's extreme legitimacy. Ripple is really taking this seriously. Ripple wants to basically replace like these services like Star and Pulse that back up the ATM systems, and they want to be a means of money remittance for mainstream legacy financial institutions. There's a lot of money to be had there. Have you heard Quinn Michaels talk about Bitcoin and the possibilities created by AI? I haven't, but I want to listen to it because that's really fascinating, fun stuff to geek out on. And if it is created by AI, so what, like AI, artificial intelligence wrote the Satoshi white paper? I don't know. I mean, maybe the program was created by AI. I'm sure there's hardcore artificial intelligence we don't even know about that's doing all sorts of crazy stuff. No, I haven't, but I like science fiction, and I like the possibility of that. It is possible that Bitcoin was created by the CIA or some government ploy, and there's a very small chance that it's a global conspiracy to create a cashless society where all of our money is tracked and traced and controlled, and our access to it can be turned off. This much of a possibility, but the old school Alex Jones listener in me can't discount it completely. And for those people that think Bitcoin serves the government, it doesn't help the government at all to have a decentralized currency, in my opinion. In fact, it hurts the government big time, which is why many countries are shaking in their boots. And for those of you that think, I'm going to end on this unless anybody has any other questions. There's this phenomenon that I'm seeing out there, and I've been an activist for 15 years now, ever since 9/11. Shortly after 9/11, I began questioning the official account of what took place. And I've learned a lot in that 15 years. And I used to think that the quote-unquote New World Order was omnipotent, and we were doomed. And the collapse is going to happen any day, and this government and the Rockefellers and the Bilderbergers, they are all powerful, and we are fucked. And people would be like, when me and Kat were pregnant, people were like, I can't believe you're bringing children into this world. Oh my God, it's so much tyranny and despotism. And I've been noticing this tendency lately for these people to attribute omnipotence to the government and to the powers that be and to the world manipulators, the puppet string pullers. That's not the case, man. The state and the powers that be, the rulers, are fucking weak, and they are weaker than they've ever been. And another thing that I learned, and like it's just what people say, like what's a good example of it? Like the Bitcoin can't possibly have been not the government, because the government wouldn't allow something like this to happen. Or, oh yeah, we know that the New World Order was behind Brexit because they would never allow British to exit the European Union. They wouldn't allow England to do that. Now, mind you, England hasn't formally exited, but that shit's going down. And the will of the people don't have wills. The groups of people don't have wills. The voters spoke. Same thing with Catalonia. Oh yeah, you got, Catalonia. Spain will never let that happen. EU will never let that happen. Or, yeah, that's only happening because the New World Order's behind it, manipulating it all. No, man. They're not all powerful, and they don't know everything. They're fucking weak, and they're scared, and their ideas are so weak that they have to use violence in order to carry them about. They have to use lies and treachery. So for those of you that think, oh, well, I'm not going to put any money into Bitcoin because the government will just shut it down. Not only is the government not all powerful, but there's also multiple incentives. There's not just the New World Order wants to create a global totalitarian dictatorship and eliminate 85% of the population. That's true. But there's other factors at play. Oh, they'll just kill the internet. Okay, so the US government's controlled by all sorts of different factions, powerful elitists. Some of those factions are just wealthy billionaire business people. And sure, there's some Illuminati types and like Rockefeller types that are sinister, and they do social engineering, and they have like really negative aims that are like dark and scary. But a lot of these fucking billionaires and millionaires, they just want to continue to make more money. So these competing factions that control the federal government, they're going to go toe-to-toe. And one of them isn't just going to be like, well, we're going to shut the internet down, even though it's going to put you out of business, Amazon, which like buys and pays for politicians. You know what I'm saying? There's competing interests. It's not just all powerful, evil people will be able to do whatever they want and have their way with the masses. That doesn't work that way. Not only that, but if one government says, you know what, we're going to ban cryptocurrency, then they're going to miss out on all sorts of opportunity, innovation, and tax dollars and money and young entrepreneurs. And like, remember in like the 80s and the 70s and 60s, it was like, we got to compete with Russia. I don't remember this, but history. We got to compete with Russia. We need to change our entire public school curriculum so it focuses on math and science so we can compete with Russia to get people into space and to develop all these new technologies. Well, that same phenomenon applies. Like, governments don't want to export all their young, brilliant future million and billionaires. They want them to stay in their country so they can lead the way with this exciting new technology. So just wanted to end with that, something I've been meditating on a little bit. You need to start a crypto freedom channel. You know, I have a podcast called Sovereign BTC. My SoundCloud thing expired. I have all sorts of classic stuff, and I should go back and listen to those. I'll be saying the price of Bitcoin rose to $350 today. But I have a podcast, Sovereign BTC. These days, man, I got my kids and my business, and I got to feed my family. I don't have time to start a YouTube channel. Best thing I could do is just do Facebook Live videos. I was thinking about calling it a show. Hey, it's a show. And like, you can interview people on Facebook now. This is the easiest thing. I stopped doing the podcast. I stopped doing video stuff. I used to edit videos and produce videos, and that shit took way too long. And then I started doing podcasts because audio is easier. So I'd have a little audio recorder, and then I'd go into Audacity and edit it. That shit takes too long. And what I found is the easiest thing is to write a short description, hit go live, and I can access hundreds of thousands of people. Maybe one day I'll download these and put them on a YouTube channel, but I appreciate your encouragement there, Kyle. And yeah, John Bush, I've gained a lot of wisdom. I've been interested in cryptocurrency for many, many years now. And I offer cryptocurrency consultations, one-on-ones, $50 an hour. I'm doing an introductory hour, $35. I can step you through setting up. I mean, if you're anywhere in the country, we'll get on the phone together, or we'll get on Skype, and I'll step you through step by step as you on your computer download an Electrum wallet, as you on your computer register for Coinbase, as you on your computer receive that Bitcoin into your Coinbase wallet. One step that I recognize a lot of people are insecure about, rightfully so, is sending Bitcoin from Coinbase, for example, to their wallet. It's really simple and easy for me, but I can understand how that can be really overwhelming and kind of convoluted. And especially if you have a lot of money, you don't want to mess it up. So that's the value that I add. It's $35 an hour or $50 an hour after that. And if you're talking about $500 or $1,000, $2,000, that $50 or $35 is a really small drop in the bucket to ensure that your $1,000 plus is safe and secure. And you have peace of mind to know that it will be safe and secure into the future as your $1,000 investment turns into $10,000, $50,000, $100,000. Who knows? The sky's the limit. All right, this is John Bush signing out. Peace and freedom. We can continue the conversation in the comments. If you are, I came late. Did you say what you were thankful for? No, but I'm thankful for you, Alan. I'm glad you're my buddy, and we connect so much on Facebook. You have a lot of cool and nice things to say. So if you're interested in a cryptocurrency consultation, you can comment here. You can private message me. I'm pretty available for these consultations. I'm thankful for my ability to get paid $50 or even $35 an hour to talk to people about cryptocurrency. That's what I'm thankful for, and we'll have a good time. So lots of good information, and don't forget, I can help you to get set up safe and secure, step you through it, baby step you through it. No question is dumb, and I will make sure that we can bring down the language that I use to a way that you can just consume and accept and understand all of it, and it won't go over your head or anything. All right, peace, freedom, Bitcoin. It's like 9,000 plus. Holy shit! Just shared a video a month ago saying it's never too late to get into Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is like $7,500. I'm going to continue to be telling you in like a month or two. I'm going to say, hey guys, remember when Bitcoin was $9,000? And I was like, hey, everyone should buy in now. Now it's $12,000. And then a year from now, it's going to be like $25,000 Bitcoin. And I'm going to be like, guys, remember when Bitcoin was $9,500? And I was like, you should get in some. You could have doubled your money. And then take it from me, the guy that said $40 Bitcoin was too expensive, I'm going to wait for it to go back down to 20. It's never too late, my friends. Join the new wealthy class. Let's get there together. Peace and freedom. I'm out.